Freddy here, welcome back to the Gear Obsession channel. In this episode, I'm going to show off my new rig that I just got done building out, and I'll also throw in a little bit of some channel updates here, so stay tuned. So it all started a couple of weeks ago. I had my old Windows computer, which used to be in this case, and I wanted to put it into my shelving unit right here, but it doesn't fit, and I don't want to adjust the shelves. So I went ahead and bought a new case. Now this is the Cougar Spike. It came $35, free delivery from Newegg. So it was a good price, and it was so ugly I thought it was pretty because I just like ugly things for some reason. Now, then I had to do something about the speed. Now, I kept my old motherboard, which is like 5 years old, and I looked online for a processor for it, and there really was only one, but it was a very good one. So I replaced the old processor with this AMD Phenom 2, and it's a black box, which means you can overclock it very, very easily. So it's pretty incredible. I replaced a AMD Athlon 64X2, so you can imagine the big jump that I got just from the processor. And then, because the cooling fan on that new processor really is, it's not really good for the processor, especially if you do some overclocking. I bought, oh, by the way, that processor, Newegg, $94. Then I also got this Antec water cooling system. It's a bottom of the line kind of cooling system that I found at Best Buy for about 60 bucks. And it's the, I don't know how to say that, the Cooler H2O 620 right there. So this will keep it nice and cool if I do some overclocking. And then to really crank things up, I mean really, the one thing you could do to make a computer just catch on fire, besides setting it on fire, is to put one of these solid state drives in it. Now this is a Intel solid state 520 series. It's just 120 gig. I store most of my data on a server, so I just put applications in the operating system on the unit. But this is $149 right now, and this is the one single thing that's just going to make this computer totally out of control. So what I want to do is just show you inside really quick, and then I'll go ahead and plug it in, and then I'll show you how fast it comes up. Whew, that's scary. So what we have down here is the solid state drive mounted right on the bottom. Then we have the processor underneath this water cooling head right here, and you have these flexible tubes. These are smooth, not the corrugated version, which I think are better. They have the smooth tubes which move the fluid to this radiator right here. You can see we have a radiator in there, and then behind this radiator is a fan. Now the unit comes all closed loop. You don't have to worry about filling fluids up and all that. It comes already sealed, so you don't have to, it's just maintenance free. Just pop it in there. The hardest part is removing the original mounts off the motherboard and putting the mounts for this water cooling head on there, and then you go ahead and mount it on top of the processor, which I put that new processor in. I have my old power supply. I probably need to replace this soon because this is the only thing making noise in this machine. The fan that came with the cooler is like silent. I bought a case fan right here, and that thing is completely silent, so the only thing that's making noise is my power supply. I really need to do something about that. Now I only have 4 gigs of RAM. The reason why is because I have a 32-bit version of Windows 8 on here. I had come across it for the unbelievable low price of $39, so I got Windows 8, but I did a little bit of hacking with it, and you'll see that here shortly. I also put in an old CD drive, and I also put in a card reader that's deep into here. It's hard to see, but there's all the cards and USB. One thing this doesn't have is USB 3. They did provide a USB 3 slot, but it's just unconnected. So there you go. So let's go ahead and plug this in, and I'll show you how fast it boots up. So you can see it's all plugged in here. I sort of spared you the 15 minutes of me trying to run the wires there from behind my desk. So now we'll move over to the monitor right here. and we'll see how fast it boots up from when I press the button. Okay, I just hit the button now. One thing that's going to be slow is the post, which is the power on BIOS loading here. So to take that into account, there's nothing that'll speed it up. So there's the post. So right here is where the operating system's supposed to start. Now watch how fast. And we're on the desktop. That quick, we're on the desktop. It's like instant on. Now, a lot of you are saying, hey, that's Windows 8. How come it went to a desktop instead of Metro? Well, I kind of feel Metro sucks. So I went ahead and found a program. That program is called Classic Shell. And it sort of puts back the start button, which I now have right down here. That brings up a menu, just like the old Windows 7 and Vista and XP. And it's free. So, isn't that freaking insane how fast? Now, let's move over to the computer right here, and I'll let you see it running. There we are. By the way, here's my Mac Mini that I do all my editing with, my video editing. I don't use Windows for that. So there's the machine. You can see the power supply has a light there. And there's still quite a bit of noise in that power supply. Like here's my decibel meter. Let's see what we're getting here. Well, actually, see, there's my voice, and you can see I'm right here at about 60 decibels right there. So really, it's almost nothing, actually. And once I get this power supply taken care of, it'll be silent. Now, make no mistake, the biggest increase in speed that you just saw an example of is because of a solid-state drive. And there's no one upgrade that can make a computer just scream than a solid-state drive. I would stay away from those OCZs or whatever they call those. There's a lot of problems with those. Read reviews of whatever solid-state drive that you may be using. These Intel seem to be rock solid, and this is my second drive I've gotten from Intel, and they've worked flawlessly. So, what's coming up with the channel? Well, I have to take it easy with funds here because I buy all these things that I review. They're not sent to me by anybody, and if they are, then I state that. And with sequester, you know, the threat of that coming, that'll be that will take a big bite out of what my job is, and I could expect at a very minimum like 20% of my pay going away while that's going on. So I've got to sort of prepare for it. I got to lighten up. So, but I'll you know, I'll fill the channel with some really cool videos. I have things on the back burner that I could, you know, definitely we share, learn, and move on. One of the things that I'm going to sort of do is, and this is sort of a money-saving thing, is if you don't have a lot of funds or you can't get ammo because of all the crap going on, but you need to practice shooting, and it also costs money to go out to the range or pay for range, and, you know, all these things, and a good way to get some trigger time is to use pellet guns. I know a lot of you go, oh, that's for kids. Whatever. Still, shooting, pulling a trigger, you can practice your trigger control, your gun control, and I bought several products here that will be coming up in future episodes. One is the very classic Pumpmaster Classic by Crossman. This thing is very accurate for the money, and got it at Walmart, so no surprise there. Now another thing coming up here is the Gammo PT85 blowback gun. It actually blows back, the slide comes back with every shot, just like a real gun. So it gives a little bit of recoil going on, so it can more closely simulate, you know, something like a 22. You know, it's going to get a little closer. We'll see. But really good. You can see there's a competition shooter there that is endorsing it. Looks like he practices with it. But really good. This is CO2, by the way. This is a a multiple pump action. And then, last but not least, I bought me a rifle. This is a Benjamin Titan MP. It's a safety check, so don't worry, people. And there we go. So we'll be playing with these and seeing that they function well, and see what kind of training we can do right here at home, and maybe save some money and not put so much expensive ammo down range, or if you might not have ammo at all. All of these use .177 caliber pellets. They do have BB guns, or I'm sorry, pellet pistols and rifles that also use .22 caliber, and some of them will shoot they'll shoot just as fast as a .22 caliber gun. So it's pretty amazing products here, and I'm looking forward to bringing them to you and seeing what we could do to keep ourselves proficient with firearms on the cheap. One thing locally here, as most of you probably already know, I live in the state of Maryland, which is predominantly Democrat, and also, as far as politicians are concerned, a lot of them are anti-gun. And Martin O'Malley, who's the governor, responded from all that Connecticut stuff up there after the shooting. He responded the same way as the governor of New York responded, that he wants to enact a whole bunch of terrible gun control. And yesterday, which was the 6th, 3,000 people showed up at Arlington, which was the hearing for Martin O'Malley's bill for gun safety. I like how they call it gun safety, save the children, all this stuff. And he's talking about gun control, and yet his target's entirely off, because he's aiming at us responsible gun owners. We're not the people that are shooting and doing this stuff. As a matter of fact, every single shooting that I can think of over the last couple of years have been done by certified freaking nut jobs, and they just shouted out to everybody around them that they were crazy days, weeks, months ahead of time. And I'll tell you where the big failure is. The friends, the family, the neighbors, the people who interacted with those people and didn't do anything, huge problem. Also the mental health system, total failure. Some of them were admitted and let out. Some that just couldn't get in to get the psychological freaking help that they needed. And that's where the problem really is. You got to take care of those sick individuals properly, get them to interact with society appropriately. And gun control, and you all heard this a million times, it only basically stomps on our Second Amendment right, us good gun owners, and does nothing to keep firearms out of the hands of criminals. For the 27th billionth time, they've already passed in this country 20,000 gun laws, and 2 more, 3 more is still not going to do it. They don't enforce them all, and adding more laws, as long as you don't enforce them, and as long as you don't keep those criminals that do crime with firearms in jail, it's going to keep on happening and happening and happening. See, I don't speak that well. I'd love to get up there and shout out there in Arlington at that bill hearing, but I just don't speak very well. Anyway, most people couldn't speak because 3,000 people, they actually had to close the place down because they had to keep people from coming in because it was beyond the maximum capacity, and the fire marshal, police had to say, hold on. They never closed that place down before, ever, for something like this. So it's absolutely amazing. I'm so proud of the citizens of Maryland. I can't speak highly enough for the Maryland Shall Issue group that really coordinated this effort. Just extraordinary. And I feel really terribly guilty that I couldn't be there. I had surgery just recently, and there's a lot of things I don't want to talk about here on camera, but there was no way that I could go. But I can tell you this: I was at the Second Amendment March about 4 years ago, and there was only like barely 1,000 people there, and it just floors me that we had between 3,000 and 4,000 just for Maryland in Arlington. There, it's just absolutely amazing. I'm just grinning ear to ear because finally gun owners are getting off their butts and trying to do something to protect our Second Amendment right. They're not. They back 4 years ago they didn't really take this too seriously. And now, when they see what's going on and what happened in New York, I think gun owners finally see the writing on the wall, and they know that the time to fight for their right is right now. Okay, well, thank you very much for joining me here in the Gear Obsession channel. I really, really appreciate every friend, viewer, and subscriber, and you. And I will see you again on Tuesday. Have a good weekend.